Hey everyone. Thanks for being here, and thanks Pandu for being here as well. Maybe we can highlight, and Pandu, if you can come on here.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Oh, my daughter also says hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey. Okay, well, good to
Hey,
see you.
everyone.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think I'll just give a quick introduction on Pandu. I think he probably doesn't need much introduction though. He's the founding partner at AC Ventures, who is actually an investor of Reku. He also has or currently has sat on the boards of many companies, Gojek, C Group, etc., and he's now running a bunch of different companies, including in the electric vehicle space and stuff like that. He's very prolific. Thanks for being here.
We're also schoolmates, more important.
That's true. We both went to Stanford together.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm honored that you're here. Let's just dive straight in. Yeah. I mean, I think we're gathered here because we want to learn from the best. In this case, we think that the best is you. Yeah, and I think we would love to kind of start by hearing about your journey and your inspiration in terms of investing, both personally, primarily.
Personally, I start investing. You want to do it in English or Indonesian, Jesse?
Oh, that's right. You can mix it up. I mean, I can't speak Indonesian, but most of our people here do, so mix it up.
Yeah. You're married to Indonesian, so now your Indonesian getting better. Sudah bisa sedikit, Jesse. Sedikit. Okay. Opa Jesse can speak. But I started actually when I was in college, Jesse. I actually started 18, 19 years old. I was doing part-time work in university. And then I used the saving to start investing actually in mutual fund. And then I realized, wow, mutual fund, I cannot make much money. So I started taking finance class and investing class. And then I started investing in stock at the age of 20. And also not good. I lose money because I listened to my friend. So I put at the time $500 into a stock. It's supposed to go to 5,000, but my friend says it actually then went to like $100. So I sell, and I said, you know what? I really need to know what I'm doing. So I took finance class, and then right after school, I said, okay, where can I learn fundamental? So I joined an investment bank in America. So I worked there for a couple of years, and then I worked for another investment company, private equity. Then I moved to Stanford, back to private equity in America, and in that one, every I learned about stock, I learned about bonds. So I learned everything. So first years, I just learned. Jadi it took me a while. Jadi baru mulai investing because of that. Yeah. Then I started building my own business. Jadi ceritanya mulainya begitulah. Mulai ada curiosity, I really like it. Ya udah, rutin aja. That's how I started.
Nice. What's the in 20 years of learning, which is a great story, and it's a signal that it takes a long time, to get good at this stuff. What's the single best advice that you think you've ever gotten, if you can remember, if there's something like that?
Best. Ada dua actually. First, know exactly what you're paying into. Jadi learn about it, the fundamental. Itu penting. Jadi you have to know everything. Almost like dating, Jesse, or getting married. You gotta know anything about the person. Check, recheck, and recheck again. So you learn the fundamental. Jadi saya tuh kalau beli saham, I buy a stock, I need to know what the company does, what does it do. Habis itu saya juga fokus ke berapa sih harganya, what's the real value of the company according to what I know today. Jadi saya banyak belajar fundamental analysis. Second rule of lesson, Bahasanya gini, if when apa namanya, kalau everybody likes it, time to sell. Everybody hates it, time to buy. Tapi harus tahu dulu pertamanya, you like it or not, gitu kan, barangnya do you understand what you buy. Jadi sometimes the best trade I have made adalah menjual or sell when everybody loves it. Jadi semua suka banget barangnya, ya kita jual karena gampang jualnya. Contohnya ya Bitcoin, Ethereum, ya kan, the crypto. If you say beginning of this year, aduh nggak ada yang suka, malah semua pada takut. Now you see actually Bitcoin today is probably the best performing, one of the best performing asset class. Jadi itu aja sih, karena kebanyakan dari kita, most of us hear the noise of other people and use that as though itu benar. Tapi jujur belajar dulu, learn about everything first and take your own view, gitu loh. So I'm now at that position di mana ya aku sih nggak begitu terlalu banyak take the view of other. Make my own independent. Itu jadi.
Right. Yeah, I think.
Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you. You're cutting out, but it's okay. Yeah, I think. Yeah, there's a very famous, phrase in investing. I think similar to you. You buy the rumor and you sell the news, right? It's kind of a similar thing. You're trying to get ahead of the curve, and I think. Yeah, I mean, there's primarily two reasons why any asset class would go up, right? One is because there's just a rising, the whole industry or the whole economy is rising. But then the other big reason is because, yeah, I mean, because you are taking a different view than anyone else, right? You believe that it's going to go up when no one else does. This is what Pandu was talking about. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So in terms of, let's go back 20 years. Imagine you're a beginner again, right? I don't know if you can imagine that anymore, but if you're a beginner again, what would be your personal investment strategy at this point? Because there's so many different instruments, so many different asset classes, things you can invest in. How would you think about constructing your own portfolio at this point 20 years ago?
Jadi ada dua, Jesse. One thing I will do, I want to invest in learning dulu. Jadi kalau misalnya I have to buy and look at everything yang aku tahu sekarang, saya knowing me, aku tapi mungkin lihat beli saham, look at stock. And then number two, I would probably look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, just learn what it is. Tapi belajar dalam, you have to know what's going on, gitu loh. Dan what's the way to do it? You learn, you read, baca. And then you invest, you put a little bit, mulai belajar, taruh duit. If you don't have a position, kalau you don't put money, you don't learn. And just assume the money you are prepared to lose all. Prepared to lose all, whatever it is. Dan kalau bisa memang duit dari sendiri, dari kerja. At the time I used the money I was working at the library di Regenstein, in my library in Chicago. So I used some of that money, aku pakai buat mulai investasi, use it to invest. So that's how it starts. Karena if you don't have it and you don't feel the pain of losing, you won't learn. Gitu loh. Sekarang saya kalau beli saham, sekali beli, another lesson I learned. You buy at a stock, and the stock comes down. Misalnya sahamnya, atau misalnya Bitcoin turun 10%. Jual atau beli lagi. Kalau bos saya bilang, if you like it at 100, you love it at 70. Gitu loh bahasanya. Tapi kamu harus tahu banget. Malah saya dimarahin. Kalau turun ke 70 saya jual, saya dimarahin. Malah bisa dipecat. Artinya kamu you don't know what you're doing. Jadi when you first buy, learn. And then buy. Pas turun harganya 10%, what do you do? Turun lagi 20%, what do you do? Jadi sebenarnya kalau yang buat teman-teman yang muda, teman terbaik Anda semua tuh is time. Time is your best friend. Because you have time to learn, time to monetize. Jadi saya balik lagi kayak Bitcoin atau Ethereum. Kalau Anda pegang 10 tahun yang lalu gimana? Just hold it. Mungkin Anda udah kaya raya sekarang. Ya, buat yang muda-muda sekarang, advice ya, I own it, so I own these things, Bitcoin, Ethereum, it's okay. Misalnya ada masalah di exchange mana Anda dengar, nggak apa-apa. Artinya kan noise. Saya tahu Bitcoin, Ethereum mungkin value-nya berapa, ya nggak apa-apa saya beli gitu loh. Jadi saya tuh udah nggak begitu terlalu terganggu sama external noise. I'm not too bothered by external noise as long as I know what's going on fundamentally and I know what's going on in the market. Itu yang paling penting.
Yeah, that makes sense. Why do you say that your top two things that you would look at is saham and the big crypto?
Karena menurut saya kalau saham tuh I really know it, Jesse. I learned 20 plus years and I'm still learning about stock because I'm buying ownership in a company. I own the company. Yeah. So for example, I like to own businesses yang must have. So I love businesses must have instead of businesses that's nice to have. So all my stock are businesses that must have. Ya, kalau sakit di mana andanya, right? If you need to eat, makan pakai apa? Taruh uang di bank, banknya apa? What bank, right? So I know these are places you need to do regardless mau lagi masalah, lagi bagus ekonomi, you need to put it there. These are what I would call, you may call it blue chip, but for me it's a business of must have, gitu loh. Nah, kalau misalnya untuk urusan Bitcoin atau Ethereum atau namanya kripto, karena saya punya fundamental belief, Jesse, bahwa uang itu tuh kan semacam nilai, itu kita belajar, we learn in school, right? A lot of time uang itu is just a tradable goods ya untuk trade sama-sama. Tapi kalau melihat dolar yang kita percaya, dolar tuh backed by something dulu, namanya gold kalau sejarahnya. Sekarang kan kalau dolar lo baca, you read, it says in God we trust. Udah.
Yeah.
Malah saya selama setahun terakhir makin nggak percaya sama namanya dolar. Kenapa? Bisa di print banyak-banyak, ya kan? Inflasi bisa ditahan. So it's just one country that's holding all the the power. Nah, kalau bedanya dengan Bitcoin dan Ethereum itu dibuat tahun 2008 to fight the global financial crisis. Orang udah bete this currency. And actually the currency itself every time. Jadi in a way it's different than dollar. Ini jumlahnya malah makin lama makin valuable secara fundamental. And people trust to trade using that currency. There's enough number of people in the world yang percaya menggunakan currency itu. Ya, jadi saya sih stick to the fundamental. Anda percaya dolar, Anda mungkin percaya satu lagi currency, ya aku juga percaya dengan ini karena it's a hedge to the dollar. Jadi ya buat saya sih long term, saya per hari ini masih cukup percaya dengan everything I learn, everything I know about currency. Memang penggunaan awal kripto ya banyak yang lucu-lucu, tapi it's very simple. The internet when it first started is also used for funny things. That's why they have the the World Wide Web, tapi they also have called the dark web. Yeah, they have all of this. Now, people use it for a variety of reasons. Some good, some maybe not so good in the eyes of many. Gitu loh. Jadi ya similar to crypto, tapi yang paling penting is the usage of it. Do you believe in the percaya pada itu? Makanya saya bilang ya own it aja. I'm not I haven't sold since berapa udah 5 tahun kali nggak jual barang ini. Tambah aja terus.
Nice. Total nice. Okay. Yeah, thanks for sharing. So one of the things that you've continually mentioned is education, 20 years. At this point, so there's kind of the formal education route. At this point, how do you stay kind of in the know as an investor? How do you keep in touch with what's going on in the market?
Oh, I have to know and talk to many people. I have to learn from you, Jesse, what's going on in your business. Talk to the people in the crypto scene, right? For example, talk to a couple of people on this, even stock, right? I talked about stock to the people in Indo, the people outside, right? So I have, in a way, in every asset class. So, for example, the asset class now I look, ada public, ada private equity, which is saham, beli saham. Saya ngomong beberapa orang, ada 2-3 orang di Indonesia yang saya selalu sering ngomong karena menurut saya emang passion dia itu, ngeliatin itu. Saya ngomong juga di private equity, di private market saya bagi ada ada venture capital, ada private equity, ada juga private credit dan juga ada sekarang aset kelas lain seperti crypto, ini aset kelas ya. Nah, setiap tempat saya pasti ada 2-3 orang yang saya selalu ajak ngomong sambil baca-baca. Jadi emang in this business, you have to listen to too many, 2-3 is enough, and then read a lot. You have to sering rajin baca. So, apa habis spend majority of my time outside of my family and friends ya ini baca, ngomong sama orang, and invest. Enggak, sabar-sabar aja, just be patient. Once you find a very good opportunity, buy. And even my style of investment, Jesse, as time evolves juga berubah. Kalau dulu saya banyak invest macam-macam karena belajar, sekarang saya juga jauh lebih fokus, ya kan? Nah, kenapa Pak perlu begitu? Karena the first 20 years itu of my time, emang saya poinnya mencoba semua untuk belajar. Mana sih yang paling cocok buat most, right? Jadi I know, for example, real estate. That's not what I'm very good at. I don't really enjoy real estate. Beli rumah, beli ini saya nggak begitu suka, right? Tapi stok saham, I love. Crypto, I love because of the dynamism, belajar. Private, jadi yang private equity, private credit, I love. Karena belajar gitu. Jadi di mana saya ada challenges untuk belajar segala suka, tapi I know asset class that I don't like gitu loh, yang saya nggak suka. Nah di situ saya juga mungkin nggak hoki atau belum hoki, or I just don't find challenges. Nah ini setiap orang beda-beda. You have to learn gitu loh.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think even for me, I think once you get past the kind of the basics of investing or a basics of understanding an asset class, it really becomes a game of right, because there's so much news, so many people with so many different points of view. And I think that there's no secret, yeah. But really, from my experience, it becomes a game of who am I listening to, you know? And sometimes, generally speaking, I can listen to some people who I think are generally right, but then it's also quite a interesting challenge in terms of continuously learning your own, like you said, your own preferences, your own strengths and weaknesses, and then also being able to listen to everything and then make your own judgment about it. Right?
Yeah, betul.
Right. Nice. Okay, so one thing that I wanted to bring up, OJK noted that in 2022, the financial literacy index, the way that they calculated basically how financially literate are you is 49% in Indonesia. This is across every, so less than half, a little bit less than half of everyone in Indonesia, OJK determines as financially illiterate, unfortunately. What are your thoughts on this? And how do you think that we as a country can really improve our financial literacy?
Jadi saya nih Jesse kebetulan I'm also chairman of Aftek Fintech. Jadi di mana fintech itu essentially is the fastest way for people to learn. Kenapa? Karena many Indonesians like to borrow to start business. Or now yang muda-muda, please don't do this ya. Don't borrow to buy stuff. Kalau mau borrow tuh for something productive, buat bisnis atau buat apa. Don't borrow to buy latest handphone atau apa, jangan ya. Jadi I think fintech is one of the fastest way to promote financial literacy. Kenapa? Kita selalu bilang if you want to borrow something, learn why you want to borrow it. Why fintech good for you? Apa sih artinya fintech buat kehidupan sehari-hari for your everyday life? Jadi, our job, our mandate, number one is actually education, Jesse. We use all these fintech, including Reku lah, for all of you to learn apa sih nih, kenapa invest di Reku nih good, apa sih maksudnya invest right, invest wise itu apa. So ask questions. Yang paling penting is actually don't be shy asking question. Okay? Jadi if you're not shy, you will get the answer, and then from that, okay, we try together. Gitu loh. Karena kadang-kadang ya ada juga kita pede apa nggak pede, meaning are you confident or not. To be honest to all of you, until now it still takes me 20 plus years. Lama ini nggak overnight. Ya, I learn. Dan saya belajar PD-nya mungkin baru mulai sekarang, mulai agak pede-pede, mulai confident. But it takes time gitu loh. Saya juga nggak mau bohong, nggak mau munafik. It's not instant. Sukses itu is not instant. Success takes time, right? Financial success takes time. Tapi yang penting kita belajar membangun with the right type of people. Itu penting. Jadi so far makanya saya baik for we are giving the right advice, be able to provide the right platform, and try to do one step at a time to become a better business, right? And also the most important when you become a better business, give good advice, honest advice. Itu yang paling penting sih, Jesse, most important. Jadi ya, in my view, for the young people, I think it's you have to listen, learn, read a lot, and over time create your own independent decision. Itu yang paling penting sih. That's the most important, Jesse.
Yeah. I definitely, I'm encouraged because even when we did this kind of little boot camp that we put together, right, we have no goal or anything like that other than just helping improve the financial literacy of our users. And I think people are very excited. I mean, over 5,000 people registered for this event, and I think people are very excited about it. Having said that, I think the challenge often for them is they don't have the time, or they don't fully understand, or something like that, and so they have no choice but to I mean, they don't have the resources, I think, at the end of the day. So I think what you're doing with AFTech, with using fintech broadly as the mission to really improve the financial literacy, I think is really a wonderful thing. And of course, Reku is very bought into that. So I think that's great. Related to the points that you were making, right, about for example, don't borrow to buy the latest cell phone or something like that. It's kind of similar. It reminds me of a quote that someone said in the US that got very viral, right? Someone said, someone very old and rich said, the reason that young people are poor is because they keep spending money on avocado toast. I don't know if you remember this. Yeah, but avocado toast is a luxury. It's very expensive, and to me, I don't personally like it. It doesn't taste very good, but it's someone was making the point that the reason that you're not rich when you're young is because you keep spending money on useless things. So it sounds like you're kind of saying something kind of similar, but how do you think about your relationship with money or budgeting? And I think that there's this balance of when you're young, you want to spend, you have the energy, blah, blah, blah. You can't just, be saving everything. So how do you make that balance?
Jadi aku nih orangnya agak ekstrim, Jesse, a bit ekstrim. Jadi gini, between 20 to 25, I did all the dumb stuff. Dumb lah. Semua uangku aku pakai buat pergi keluar, jalan-jalan, macam-macam deh. Then I went to business school, ya kan. Terus aku harus bayar business school karena orang tua aku bilang, ya kau bayar sendiri, you pay yourself. You're big kid now, you work at investment bank, you get good money. Aduh, okay. Fine. So I did it because I was able to get scholarship from my employer, dikasih uang sama ini, ya udah deh. Jadi aku kerja, Jesse, during business school, my second year. I work from Monday to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday sekolah, ya kan. So my first year I did everything, so I only get half of the credit needed. And every month saya every 2 weeks saya ke New York. Karena employer saya di New York, jadi saya berangkat Minggu, balik Rabu. Di situ saya baru sadar, gila, bikin duit susah ya. Habis itu saya get married afterward the following year. Jadi saya tuh umur 25, 26, and then my dad passed away right after business school. Saya tuh jadi fokus, ya mungkin ada trauma dalam hidup, my own trauma. So I just focus on just working. I need to make money gitu loh. Jadi saya umur 26, 27 itu udah nggak mikir not spending gitu loh. Malah beli rumah bener-bener buat diri saya beli rumahnya baru tahun 2020. I bought my house. The houses I bought etc. baru 2020. Why? Beli mobil juga 2019. First time I bought my car. So it's still a long time, right? It's only 5-6 years ago. Jadi sebelumnya saya investasi semua, Jesse. Every money I have, I invest. I invest in my business, I invest in stock. Ya, I live from that. Jadi I just live just enough lah, cukup gitu loh, Jesse. So I'm extreme. And not many people would do it my way, tapi for me it works gitu loh.
Why do you think that you're kind of that extreme type? Do you think it's just a personality thing, or do you think it's, I don't know, do you think that that's the right way to do it, or how would you?
Saya sama istri saya, me and my wife, in 2008 when we got married, my family likes to do this SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. Okay, that's also extreme. My family in my small community, boleh nggak kita have an Excel sheet, kita kalau dapat bonus working at private equities, I actually had a very good year, invest. Jadi kita nggak beli apa-apa, we didn't buy a car, nggak beli rumah. 2010, actually I used from that saving 2010, saya beli rumah buat ibu saya in Jakarta. And this is right before the boom di Menteng. I got her the house. Then I moved to Jakarta 2011. I used then all the proceeds invest lagi. So I use that money waktu itu untuk invest. Jadi saya gini lah kalau budgeting ya. Let's talk practical budgeting. Saya misal income 100. Every year saya naik nih 15, 15, 15, whatever, 10, 15% ya kan, Jesse. Every incremental, every 5 years tuh, jadi saya ngitung 5 tahun 10%, 10%, ekstranya tuh selalu saya save. Jadi I still live on a budget of 100, gitu loh. Nah setelah tahun kelima, tahun ke-6 baru saya bilang, oke, kayaknya perlu ada kenaikan. Contoh, kayaknya perlu beli mobil sendiri. Oke, if we can afford 2, let's buy 1, gitu loh. Tapi nggak boleh pinjam, don't borrow. If we can afford 2 house, like house juga. Tahun 2020 saya juga bilang, kalau mau beli rumah, we buy a house. Can we afford 2 house? If we can, then we buy 1. Gitu loh. That's my rule of thumb in my head, Jesse. Right. Jadi I'm very, that's how I think about it lah. Jadi I don't want to live beyond my means. I don't like to borrow, so I don't have borrowing, Jesse. Very little borrowing I have. I only borrow in company level, not in personal level. You know. Jadi in company I borrow, tapi di personal I don't borrow. Gitu. Jadi buat teman-teman, for all of you, you know, live within your means. Use any income, any savings, uangnya diputer. Make the money work hard for you, not you work hard for the money. Itu paling penting. So once the money work hard for you, wah, you're gonna live, very happy. Karena sometimes, you know, when you feel, what do I doing with my money? Next month I ran out of money. Itu not good feeling, gitu loh. So you need to have a peace of mind, gitu loh. Have a saving, gitu loh. Last one, Jesse. Also have at least, as you grow older, have at least 1 year of saving of your costs. Put it away, gitu loh. Jadi 1 year, misalnya your cost every year, say 30 million atau 10 million times 12, 120 million. Have 120 million on the side. Just put in deposit. So save up to that 1 year.
Yeah. Nice.
I love talking personal finance, Jesse, because I talk about it with my wife all the time.
Yeah, so, it's good. I can tell that you've thought a lot about it.
Yeah.
It's a topic that I love thinking about too, because for me personally, and I know this isn't about hearing about me, but for me, I grew up with quite a lot of, like, my parents were very, very financially strict. So I also am kind of, I would say, quite extreme, like Pandu. And my personal belief is, it's not always good. You know, you want to use your money as a tool to make sure that you have the peace of mind, that you have the savings, like Pandu was talking about. But beyond that, you know, just because of how investments compound, right? The classic example of 1 times 1 times 1 for 365 days is 1 equals 1. But if you do 1.01 times 1.01, you do power of 365, that's 38. It's 38 times higher than if you put in 1% more, and it comes 38 times bigger in after 1 year than not doing anything. So I think about it like that a lot. And if I can save that 1 extra percent, that will make me, and I do that every day, that'll make me 38 times better in the future, right? So it sounds like you kind of share that.
Sama lah, mirip-mirip, sekolahnya sama, jadi ya pikirannya sama. Same school, same thinking, you know, Jesse.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so switching gears a little bit in terms of maybe specific investment trends. You know, we're almost in 2024. Do you have any particular trends or themes that you're watching that you see as interesting?
Ya, jadi kalau buat 2024, been doing a lot of thinking karena saya been traveling so much. Even my wife got upset with me. I travel 220 days already. Jadi aku bilang nggak bener nih, dimarahin. Tapi during that time, actually, I learned a lot karena banyak sekali menyangkut apa yang terjadi di luar negeri, the geopolitics situation, and it is fragile, but thankfully now getting better. Kenapa getting better? karena antara Amerika dan Cina sudah mulai mulai baikan, karena buat mereka semua perang itu sesuatu yang too expensive. The war is too expensive, which means that there is now a strong push to not do war. Itu penting tuh. Jadi ya insya Allah semoga Israel Palestina, will calm down. Ukraine Russia will have a solution next year, ya kan? Jadi itu harapan-harapan ya. And then obviously next year ada juga India election in May, American election in November. So 3 of the 4 largest countries in the world are having elections, which means there is a potential change of power. The strongest potential change of power maybe is in America. Jadi kita lihat tuh apa efeknya. India most likely the same. Indonesia I think will be more continuity. Nah, specific to Indonesia, the one very important thing that I'm learning itu tidak ada polarisasi, no polarization. Very different than the last 2 election where there is a lot of politics of identity. Nah, di sini sekarang not many, malah lebih menyatu. It's more about who do you like more, but in terms of economic policy among the 3 presidential candidates, the same. I can tell you right now, almost the same. I think only Pak Anies making change a little bit on some issues that's political, tapi in general, if you look at the economic policies will remain the same. Nah, itu bagus. Jadi kalau kita lihat investasi, nah ini balik ke investasi. Yang saya suka saya tetap suka untuk beli saham-saham, owning saham of must have. Saya sekarang lagi suka lihat private equity, tapi memang belum susah buat everyday investor masuk ke private equity, tapi saya suka. Kenapa? Karena valuasinya murah dan fundamental di Indonesia tuh seharusnya tetap bagus, still okay, still good, right? Still growing good. Ketiga, nah this is when you talk about crypto, so I've been a fan of crypto for a while, jadi I'm not shy about it. I like it karena all the noises are gone. Nah itu penting. Jadi soal tentang sisi itu teman juga sisi isunya, right? FTX, all that is gone. Jadi sekarang malah lebih all the exchanges itu sekarang udah pengawasan, a lot of oversee in a good way. And now in a way it's more about a new normal for crypto. Itu penting. Jadi kemarin pun di Abu Dhabi, even the Abu Dhabi government is creating own crypto exchange. Nah, Abu Dhabi itu is actually interesting karena it's the most conservative among all the leading, I would say, developed countries. Bahwa mereka udah mulai ke sana, it's a good sign. Jadi ya, kalau saya tetap saham, whether it's through public market atau private market, credit has always been good. I always have exposure to credit. Jadi kredit kena suku bunga. Menurut saya suku bunga will not change much. I think it's already getting closer to above instead of increasing more. Jadi ya saya sih tetap suka. So for some of you who are risk averse, just buy bonds, etc. should be okay. Tapi there is now closing to an inflection point in stocks, right? Tapi again, own must have stocks. Stocks you must have, gitu loh. Jadi saya sih hanya putar-putar balik 3 aset kelas itu, Jesse. Ya kan? Kalau Anda tanya beli rumah atau tidak, as you know, I'm not a big fan of housing, right? I'm not di Indonesia specifically, unless especially Indonesia karena rate-nya nggak make sense buat rumah menengah atas. If you look on housing menengah bawah, very good. Menengah atas not so good. Gitu Jesse.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, it's interesting to hear because you're flying at such a high level. You get to see so many things, and you get to see how different trends and even political spheres impact little things. So it's really cool. Yeah, and I think for me, one of the big takeaways that I have is, again, I mean, you're really playing to your strengths, right? You really understand things that you understand. You don't pretend that you understand things that you don't really, and you know what you're doing, and you're really focused. You're very intentional, and I think that's very important for all of our viewers, or all of us, really, is to be like that. If you don't know, like Pandu is saying, you have to learn, and if you do know, and you feel like you have a competitive advantage, then you have to utilize that to the maximum, basically, right? So I think that's great. And how do you think about, just last question in terms of kind of investing tactically, how do you think about diversification? Because we're talking about these strengths and weaknesses, at the same time, there's value in diversification.
Ya. Oke, jujur ya, diversification for the everyday investor extremely important. Tapi kalau kamu full time ngerjain investasi, Jesse, jangan pernah diversifikasi. So that's kind of, so to be honest, I am my full time job as an investor. So whenever I really know something, typically I focus, I double down a lot. Tapi for all of you yang mungkin lagi nonton, dengerin ini semua teman-teman, if you're not full time investing, diversifikasi itu paling penting. Just diversify. Diversifikasinya apa? Again, ini saya ngulang ya, buy public stock, buy public bond, beli bond, and also buy others. Misalnya Anda suka real estate, buy a little bit of real estate. Anda suka crypto, buy a little bit of crypto. Anda suka yang lain, monggo. But have a rule. Contoh rule. I'll give you a rule, personal rule of mine. Okay, doesn't mean it's yours. Misalnya Anda punya uang 100 ya. Saya kalau cash paling 5 ya 10 lah, karena suku bunga lagi tinggi, 10 sampai 15% cash, 10 to 15% cash. Where do I put the remaining? If I'm beginning investor, I may put in young, I put more 50-55% in stock. Where is the remaining? I put in bond or borrowing. Okay, so if you're everyday investor, you're in your 20s or 30, even 30. And even if you're early 40s now, if you hit 40 age, I would go a bit more bond than public equity, maybe half-half, gitu loh. Cash 10-15% you hold. Think before you buy a house. Which one give me better return? When I borrow, when I buy a house, I have to borrow. Borrow maybe now rate 8-9%. Is it better to borrow 9% or to put and buy bond earning 9% and I rent? What is rental today? The yield in middle to up ya. Ini saya ngomong only middle to up. What is middle to up? Houses 3 billion below maybe is even good to buy. Why? Karena you're being helped by the government to buy. Okay, you get subsidized. So above that rental maybe now yield 3%, 4%. Right? So why don't I put in a bond 9%? I can get 6% excess, the 3-4% I rent. So that's me. Ini pasti banyak yang nggak setuju kalau ada soal rumah. Why? You know why people are so strong about this housing? Because they use a lot of feelings. So I know that as a fact.
Yeah.
Tapi they say, oh Pandu, nah, I did a posting on this Jesse about housing. Wah, 40% hate it, 60% like it. But for those who said, oh, we have to live in a house, and I said, for me personally, if I want to buy one house, I can afford 2 first. If I can afford 2, I buy 1.
Yeah.
Because in Indonesia, specific in Indonesia, because the borrowing cost doesn't make sense.
Right.
So that's my rule of thumb, yeah. So 10-15% cash, remaining 55-45 if you're young. Above 40, maybe you flip it.
Where does crypto fit in? Is it more on the SAM side or the cash side of your percentage?
I think for crypto, actually, I put it more as the equity side, not cash for now. Why? Because it has equity-like behavior, right? But I say it's a business of must-have owning, because I just must have it. So I put it in the equity side because it still gets what I call mark-to-market, Jesse. The only currency that doesn't get mark-to-market is US dollar.
Yeah, right.
The rest of the world get mark-to-market except US dollar.
Against the dollar, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I mean, final question just to close. Yeah, I mean, we saw appearance from your daughter. I mean, what is kind of like the 2-3 tips or the wisdoms that you want to impart to your daughter, right, as she grows up? What is it that relationship to investing, to money or something, and hopefully those learnings will translate to all of us.
Specific to my daughter, she's born lucky. She won, I call ovarian lottery, lahir bener. Okay. So I tell her, hey, 70% of your fight in life already solved. So now one thing I told her, be a kind person. Itu paling penting. Be a kind person. So this is more character before money. Be a kind person. When you be kind, you treat everybody well, not just your boss, not just your friend, but everyone. People helping you at home, people that greet you at home, treat them well because they are people. They're a person. Okay. Number 2, be useful. Apa tuh useful? Be useful not just for yourself, but be useful to your others. Specific to my daughter, because she won the ovarian lottery, what I call, she lives much better than me when I was young. I want her to be useful to the people surrounding her, not just her immediate vicinity, but people surrounding her as she grows. Number three, money when you go die, it doesn't go with you. Okay? Jadi itu very important. And a lot of people say, oh, then it'll go to my kids. Then you know what I say? Actually, it won't go to my kids. I'll give some to my kids. For when my parents died, they gave me zero. When my dad died, he actually gave me zero. That's why I had to buy a house for my mom, because she had no house. My dad used all the money for politics. So I bought that for my mom, and I said, okay, for my daughter, I will give some, but it is going to be scheduled, and it has to be used not just for her daily living, but for useful things. The remaining I'm giving to foundations that I truly care about, including my own foundation. I've been very lucky. That's the least of my concern is what am I going to eat tomorrow? What am I going to eat tonight? Or do I have a roof on top of my head? Jadi if you're that lucky, you have to be useful. Jadi itu aja sih. Be kind, be useful, and then the money is really not for you. It's enough just for you to eat and have a rooftop, right? And have an education. The rest you gotta hustle. So I'm teaching my kid also how to hustle for whatever she wants to do.
Nice. Yeah, wonderful. Okay, well, thanks. That's all the questions I had. I think maybe we have just 3 minutes just to answer a few Q&A. If that's okay. I think we have a bunch of
questions.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
But I think maybe the first one from here, from Janatu. You want to invest, but your finances are not stable. Are you trying to set aside money for investment? Do you have any suggestions?
Okay. If you're still a student, focus on the need to finish your education. Paling penting, just finish your education and do very well. Jadi jangan you do two things, you double. For example, you do have to do extra work, right? Whatever it is, you may have to do it for your daily living, just do that. But focus on your homework, focus on your study, and do it ASAP. Okay, kenapa? Karena the return on investment is much faster. The faster you finish school, the more time you can do work. Don't try to do two things at once. I want to do school and work. What I did in business school, right? I did my first year, I did all the work, all for school, so I can satisfy it. Knowing full year, well, in second year, I have to do part-time job to pay for my education, right? So I make sure I get it done. Jadi fokus. Kalau when you're young, whatever extra money you have at the time, just save it. You know, if you have whatever, or sometimes your family give or somebody give, or you work and somebody give you bonus, just save the money, focus on the school, okay? Especially when you're young. That's my number one advice for you.
Yeah, nice. And second, this is there's a few questions here about talking specifically about crypto and crypto skeptics in particular. Is there a basic strategy or formula for crypto investment? You've talked a lot about it, but how do we think about managing that risk?
Okay, so I'll be honest, in 2019, I invest in almost, the main one I invest was Bitcoin, Ethereum, because I know, but I did dabble a little bit in NFT. I lost money. I lost my shirt. I bought a couple of others, non-Bitcoin, Ethereum, and it went down. And when I don't understand it, right away I sell, right? I said, it's okay, I lose money, so I can live with it. As I said in the beginning, when you're dabbling on something, just invest first, willing to lose all. Just willing to lose all, okay? Nah, dari situ, then I focus like a couple of assets, just focusing on that. And I look at a couple of exchanges, right? I only invest in a couple. So being very focused, maybe after 5 years investing, you can become very focused. I think it takes at least 5 years to learn, okay? Not right away. I cannot tell you right away. How's this? If somebody can tell you right away within 1 year what you do, most likely that guy is a fool and you're the second. Okay.
Yep. Makes sense. Okay. Well, it's 10 o'clock. So thanks so much for your time, Pandu. And I think for me,
thank you.
Summarize, I mean, I learned a lot. It was very inspiring, just a lot about investing in yourself and being educated, right? So I think that's a message that we all love. Yeah, so thank you for sharing all of that.
Thank you guys. Semua selamat pagi every Saturday. And thank you, Opa.
You're welcome, and thank you. All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.